right, welcome to Week 6 of the Cavalier Insider pregame show. Andrew Ramspacher joined by Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe. New location, new set here for ACC play. Virginia about to dive right into it, taking on the Pitt Panthers, 7:30 Saturday night at Scott Stadium. Jerry, you've written earlier this week this could be the biggest game in Mike London's career, certainly the biggest game in this season. Turning points everywhere. Should Virginia win this? Afterward, it has a bye, 2 weeks rest then to prepare for Duke, obviously the reigning ACC Coastal Division champion. So a lot on the line. It's a night game, maybe a whiteout according to players, maybe not so much administration. So a lot of things involved here. Before we get into this matchup, Virginia coming off a 45-13 win over Kent State. The final score tells you that UVA took care of business. However, we were there. Took a half of them to warm up.
Yeah, all the players admitted they came out flat, sort of inexplicably. I guess it's just sports. Sometimes you're just not at 100% mentally or emotionally when a game starts. I don't think any coach has ever figured out exactly why it happens. But to their credit, a lot of teams, FBS teams, will continue to play that way through the half. They'll leave the door open, and some of the FCS teams or teams from a non-Power 5 conference will take advantage of that and knock you off. We've seen that all season long. They got their act together and played pretty darn well the last, half, maybe a little bit into the second, late in the second quarter. But I think they reeled off 38 straight points, took care of business, and moved on. Yeah,
Virginia at one point was trailing 10-7, ends up winning. You said, I think 38 unanswered, and that second half was pretty dominant. Won that battle 31-3. I think the defense only allowed 20 yards of offense from Kent State, maybe 3 first downs. Got a late field goal in there, but other than that, and that late field goal was against the number 2 defense. Eli Harold was quick to point that out afterward. That wasn't the number ones.
Eli would
that allowed that number to happen, because he said I guess the locker room. It was the regulars that were being vocal, and led by, of course, Henry Coley, the senior captain, really the voice of this team, and it really got them going, and they kind of changed their ways. Eli told Mike London, hey, they're not going to score, and for the most part, they did it. Not against his unit anyway, that first team. So with that, Virginia's defense, continued its ways. 5 more turnovers. It now leads the country in takeaways. It led the country 2 weeks ago in takeaways. It loses to to BYU 2 weeks ago in a game that didn't create any takeaways. And Mike London said after the Kent State game, basically that's how we have to win. That's how Virginia kind of has to do it, to be successful, because this is a pressure-oriented defense. It's based on takeaways and sacks. How critical is that to their formula?
I think it is critical. It's who they are. Mm-hmm. It's John Tenuta and Mike Archer all over the place. Their fingerprints are all over the place, particularly Tenuta. It's his defense. That's what it's built to do, is to create havoc. And it's not the most physical defense in the world, but there's so many moving parts and stuff. I think it really confuses other opponents. And again, just the fact that they're bringing people you're not sure where they're coming from has done what it's supposed to do. And if I were London, I would be encouraged about that, and the fact that the offense has put together 500-yard performances back-to-back weeks, and it looks like it's making some steps forward.
Yeah, it leads to kind of the next point. There were a lot of bad numbers, for lack of a better term, from last season. They finished 2-10. But one thing that was glaring was the defense forced 21 takeaways in 12 games. The offense responded with just 13 points off those takeaways. In last week alone, Virginia scored 21 points just on 3 takeaways. I believe it has 65 for the year off 18 takeaways. So it's incredible how much a difference that makes now that this offense is kind of taking advantage. And as you mentioned, gaining more yards, too. A second year under Steve Fairchild. Maybe you're starting to see kind of the wheels moving a little better.
Yeah, Fairchild caught a lot of heat last year, and some of it deservedly so. Some of it I don't think was deserved, because it was the first year of his system. He was working with a new quarterback, and obviously that didn't work like everybody thought it was going to. And I don't think he had enough playmakers. And now he's got he doesn't really have any more running backs, although Mizell is healthy, so that he's added a little bit more of a dimension as a pass catcher. But they've got these big, tall receivers who may not be speed demons, but they create separation when they go up for a ball against those smaller corners, and that's really helped them a lot. And he's got a quarterback he can rely on. So I think
a couple quarterbacks.
Yeah. So I think the offense is moving kind of to where he wants it to be. I still don't think he has everything he wants, but I think he's making the most of what he's got.
Yeah, Matt Johns was the first-time starter last week, filling in for Grayson Lambert, who injured his ankle against BYU. Again, it'll be a game-time decision to see if Grayson Lambert should play against Pitt on Saturday. If not, they can have trust in Matt Johns, a guy who threw for over 200 yards against Kent State. Like the whole team, he struggled in the first half as well. 2 pretty bad interceptions. One, he threw to a defensive tackle who was wide open, and I'm not really sure what happened there. The second one was in the end zone when just kind of a miscommunication, I guess, between Zach Swanson and him. But he kind of shrugged it off, and he had a pretty good second half as well. So either or, Virginia should be confident in Johns or Lambert going against Pitt, which despite not having Aaron Donald, who was last year's best defensive player in the country, now a first-round pick, Pitt's still the best defense in the ACC numbers-wise. So certainly a challenge for that. So we'll look ahead to Pitt and Virginia after this break. Welcome back to the Cavalier Insider pregame show. Again, Andrew Ramspacher joined by Jerry Ratcliffe, breaking down Virginia and Pittsburgh. Kickoff 7:30 on Saturday at Scott Stadium. First night game since 2012 when Virginia took on North Carolina. Again, that was North Carolina, a Coastal Division opponent. Pitt, a Coastal Division opponent. Here in 2014, it is so wide open. You can make the case for the most wide open division in all of college football. Really, if you look at the 7 teams in the ACC Coastal, you can make an argument that each team could win it. You can make an argument each team could finish in last place.
Exactly.
I mean, Duke is the defending champion. Duke lost to Miami last Saturday. Miami, of course, a team that got whipped pretty good by Louisville on opening night. Virginia's team that's beaten Louisville. Georgia Tech right now, undefeated. Maybe the most impressive win when the Blacksburg has a win. But other than that, it's non-conference slate. Essentially played high school. So there are so many different ways to look at it. You thought Pitt was maybe the best team 2 weeks ago. Pitt has lost 2 straight, including just a complete shocker to Akron at home last week at Heinz Field. So there are so many things. Hootie, what do you make of this ACC Coastal? What do you make of Virginia's chances to maybe take control of this thing?
Well, you're right. I mean, it's every little weekend there's going to be a mini war within that division. And anybody can win it, anybody can lose it. I don't think there's a lot of anything separating any of the 7 teams. They not all play different styles, but there's a lot of different styles of football within the division. But I think, like you said, I think Georgia Tech is in the catbird seat, so to speak, right now with a win. They could really do that if they win this weekend against Miami. So I think it's going to go down to the last weekend of the season. Somebody's going to have to take a step forward. A lot of people think Virginia Tech, because of their non-division schedule, favors them a little bit. That it could be them in the end, although they won't have a tiebreaker against Georgia Tech. Virginia has a chance if they can win Saturday and then take advantage of their weekend off, bye week, and beat Duke. That's a pretty strong statement for these guys. So I think they have a chance to be in it if they can continue to improve on offense, because I think the defense will keep them in every game they play, except maybe Florida State.
Yeah, for this particular game, Virginia taking on Pitt, and last year this was a 14-3 Pittsburgh win in a just ugly display of college football. I believe Pitt won despite its quarterback, Tom Savage, being sacked 7 times. I think they only gained 223 yards of offense, turned the ball over 3 times. But on the flip side, Virginia's offense was worse. I think only 188 yards. Just brutal. Could not move the ball at all. They had some turnovers on special teams. Dominic Durrell had some blunders trying to return punts. And Pitt took advantage on short fields. Virginia just couldn't take advantage of anything. And it was just kind of a an ugly afternoon. It really was. And so moving ahead now to this year's game, each team says we're totally different teams. For Virginia, it's true. You see the progress this offense has made. Obviously, the defense has gotten better. For Pitt, it's still some of the same characters. You look at Tyler Boyd, one of the best receivers in the ACC. Look at James Conner, arguably one of the best running backs in all of the country. Conner already at 791 yards, 9 touchdowns in just 5 games. So with the star power on Pitt's defense, how big of a challenge is this for that Virginia defense, which we've already seen been up to the test a couple times this year?
I think it is a challenge for Virginia's defense because they're going to try to pound them. Mm-hmm. That's Paul Chryst's MO. That's what he built at Wisconsin as offensive coordinator, a big, strong line with power rushing game with a big back. So they're going to see James Conner a lot, and I know Coley is probably frothing at the mouth for the opportunity to show that they can shut him down like they did last year. I think he had 27 yards rushing maybe last year. 15
carries, 27 yards.
It's going to be a challenge, and I think Virginia's defense will take care of business, so I really do. I can't see Pitt moving the ball consistently on this defense. And so I think it's going to be up to the offense and special teams to put this one in the bank.
So with all that being said, it's a good little tease to lead us into our next segment. We will give our predictions. Virginia and Pitt, obviously the Cavaliers with a huge opportunity to move to 2-0 in the ACC. All right, prediction time. Virginia and Pittsburgh. Andrew Ramspacher joined by Jerry Ratcliffe. Kickoff 7:30 Saturday, Scott Stadium. It's a night game. They're expecting at least an improved crowd from what that venue has seen for the first 4 home games. So, a lot of things involved here. We've talked about a lot of them. ACC Coastal Division implications, chance for Virginia to move to 4-2, 2-0 in the ACC, which would be huge. And, of course, that's even bigger because it will have then a week after Saturday to rest up with a bye before it heads to Durham, North Carolina, to take on Duke, the defending ACC Coastal champs. So, with all that being said, I do think Virginia wins this thing. I think 20-16. The last couple of weeks, Virginia's offense has gone over 500 yards, have scored over 30 points. I think this one's back to more of a grinder situation. I think Pitt's defense will get UVA in that style. But that's a style that UVA can win with. They beat Louisville that way, 23-21, just a couple of weeks back. So, with that being said, I think Virginia does win this thing 20-16. If it's Matt Johns or Grayson Lambert, I don't think it really matters. Either or will lead them to a victory because that Virginia defense, I think, will make just enough plays, set that offense in good enough spots to get enough points to win this thing. So I do think the Cavaliers move to 2-0.
Yeah, and I think takeaways will be a huge part of this game because it could be one of those games that goes into the deep in the third quarter or into the fourth quarter, and I'm sure each coach is just hoping his team can hang around that long and have a chance to win. But turnovers could ultimately decide this game, and that's why I like Virginia because I think that I don't think that Pitt's going to be able to control the game with the ground attack like that they want to. And so they might be forced to put it up a little bit more than they'd like, and that's a chance for Virginia to do something. So they got a little momentum going. I like that Trey Nicholson's back, even though he's showed a little signs of rust. I don't know if he'll continue to play all season long, but he can at least play this game. Mm-hmm. I think Virginia's going to win, keep building that momentum. I'm going to say 28-21, and should be a good game. The people that come with the whiteouts should have a lot of fun.
Or as Jaquan Romero put it earlier this week, if you don't show up in white, just don't wear blue and gold. That was his only.
That's right.
That was his only requirement of fans attending Saturday night's game. So it should be somewhat of a festive atmosphere. Again, a night game at Scott Stadium. A lot on the line. Hootie and I both predict a Virginia win. We'll see what happens. Thanks for watching.